So let me explain something with this too. These crazy versions, these circle versions, generally come in different flavors. Most of them come with variable degrees of bandaging with some of these centers. What we have here, now this says Uranus, but don't let that fool you. This is a standard one. What that means is every one of these circles are stationary. Every one of these circles are bandaged down and do not move, including the top and including the bottom. Now, I really wanted that kind of a puzzle. It doesn't make it the most challenging. As a matter of fact, among the crazy puzzles, whether it's the crazy 3x3s or the Mega Minx, the standard ones are always the simplest. But honestly, what I'm looking for is not so much the challenge. I'm really just looking for the purity of the collection. What I wanted was something that was symmetric. I wanted a pure circle puzzle. Not because it's the most challenging, but because it just is best with the collection. I literally have 6 or 7 crazy cubes that look exactly the same except for the motion. And to me, it just looks like a lot of repetition. At the end of the day, once I've known that I can solve them, they're all just repeats. Plus, you can take 2 crazy puzzles and make all the other puzzles too if you get the right ones. So an example of what I mean, here's one that says Earth. This is not how Earth is configured. I actually took 2 puzzles. I took a Uranus and an Earth, and I rearranged the internal structure, basically, the caps, to make a circle one. So this one, as you can see, this one doesn't turn, this one doesn't turn, this one doesn't turn, and this one doesn't turn. So none of these actually turn. The only ones that turn are the top and the bottom. Now, I don't know if that puzzle actually exists or what it would be called. I suppose this might have something of a challenge to it as well, but you have varying degrees of bandaging where maybe just this one turns and the rest don't. So I really didn't have an interest in spending a lot of money to buy all the different versions. I could make them from all of these, but again, I'm not quite as motivated to do that. For me, it's about the collection. So what if we added circles to this? How would the circles enhance the challenge of this puzzle? So the first thing that we would do is we would just scramble it up, and you can see as I'm scrambling it, I'm getting a higher degree of complexity with this, creating what in essence I would call a super puzzle, a super pentagonal puzzle. So I'm going to keep scrambling this around until I think I've got something worthy of discussing. Abracadabra. Okay, so this looks like a pretty good scramble here. Now, once again, this is not a puzzle that you can buy directly in any store. This is a full circle puzzle where every circle is bandaged. Most of them have different variations that are bandaged, but like I say, I just wanted a complete circle puzzle. So why go through the solve of this? Well, because this is going to be important for the actual requests that happen with a particular viewer. Anyway, the way to do this is we first have to get the middle layer, just like we did with these guys. So how am I going to get these in? Well, first I should probably point something out. When you do a full circle puzzle, these edges here tend to be pretty simple. Because they're pretty consistent with how they move. And notice that every time I move this piece, these inner corners always follow it. As a matter of fact, you never separate this outer edge from these inner corners. If I move it like this, this moves, but so do these two. If I move this over here, this stays the same, and this stays the same. If I move this over here too, same thing. So it's like this piece here, this outer edge, is connected to these inner corners on either side. They're actually not. It just so happens that the way this puzzle is they never move away from each other. Now, if we had a different planetary version where this moved along with here, then it would, and it would increase the challenge. But for a pure circle puzzle, and at some point I might do all the other planets, these pieces here are moving the same with these over here. They never separate out. Which means if I place this, I automatically place these. So this is little more than, well, decoration. So to get the middle edge, the middle area over here, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the inner edges and match it with the center. So let's see, here's a yellow, here's an orange rather, match this to here. Whereas the other one, it's here, so I'm just going to put that in. So all these inner edges are in. Here's a blue over here, match this blue here, and bang. So I've got all of these guys in. Now what we're going to do is, if you notice, with some of these sides, if you look at a side, you're going to see some outer and inner edges together. So this is true here, this is true here, this is not, and this is not, and this is not. So the way this is going to work is you're going to first find the side, find the face where none of your inners and outers are together, and that would be this. Here, this is in, here, this is in. Now in this particular scramble, this and this are in. This is the same piece. Didn't have to be that way. It could have been this was in and this was in, or this was in and this was in. But this is the particular situation that we have here. What you're going to do is you're going to find the side that has none of them in, and then we're going to do a very simple commutator. What this is going to do is it's going to shake things up. Now we're not going to be able to solve it with this commutator in this position, but it's going to be a start. And what you're going to do is 2r, 2l, 2r, 2l. Like any good commutator, it turns everything back to where it was. What you're going to notice is now this is in, this has none that are in, and this is in. So in this particular situation, we've just changed it to where instead of the two that are in are the same piece here, this is on this side here, and this is on this side here. Once again, we do the same thing. We find the side that none are in, which is here, and we see that we've got one that's back over here that's in, and one that's in the front over here. What you're going to want to do is position it to where the one that's in is to the right and to the front, and the one on the left, it's to the back. So this would not be correct because it's to the right and to the back. So place it to the right and to the front, and then we just do that algorithm, or rather that commutator, one more time. 2r, 2l, 2r, 2l, and you'll see that all of them are in. And that's all you do. Just 2r, 2l, 2r, 2l. Just keep looking for the situation where you've got both that are out, and the one that's in is to the right front and to the right back. Now, you don't really have to memorize that. If you just play around with it, you're going to eventually get it. I mean, the scramble is pretty limited in that way. Here's another configuration that you might see where none of these are in, these aren't in, and these aren't in. So pretty much you've got the edges that kind of correlate, but they don't correlate with the inner edge. So you can see that none of these are in. If that's the case, just like with the first scenario, you just do 2r, 2l, 2r, 2l, and then you find the configuration you're looking for. This is the second permutation. So the first permutation is none of them were in, but all the edges were lined up. Second permutation is that these are both in, they're connected. Find the side that none of them are in. You can see this is in the back and this is in the back because they're the same. Just do it again. 2r, 2l, 2r, 2l. The third permutation is where the ones that are in are not connected. You once again find the area where they're not, put the one that's to the right in front, so that would be here, 2r, 2l, 2r, 2l, and it's in. Simple stuff. So that's every possibility that can happen with that. So now we go for the next part, which is going to be lining up these guys here. Now in this scramble, these guys never really scramble away from each other, so you can easily put these in over here. So now what we want to do is we want to put the proper outer edge with the inner edge, and this is solved just like any supercube. So here's blue. We'll have to find the blue one. Blue one's over here. Is it this blue one or this blue one? Well, it's easy to see. You've got the yellow color here and the blue color here. So now notice, just across from here, this yellow and blue, we've got the white one and the yellow one, which is going to correspond with this, rather orange. So orange and white here. There goes my color blindness again. Move it to the side. Bring this down, move this outer one in position to move up to here, and move this here. So now this is in. Now as soon as I put this in, this will be solved, and this will be solved. So that's what makes that simple. And as we expand to different planetary versions, then we'll show you how to deal with things that aren't quite as simple. And we know this one goes to here, move it down, put it in position, move it up, and you're good. And this is in and this is in. Finally, we put this one in position. That's the white one here. Move it down, place it, move it in, and there you go. So all these are in, and when these are in, all these guys are going to be in as well. So now to place the corners, what we're going to do, you notice that this is going to be automatically solved as well. So once you solve the middle and all of these edges, all your centers are going to be in. You just have to put these corners in. It's done the same way. with a little bit of a trick. But in any case, this white and blue belongs over here. So move it in position, and we do that same corner switching algorithm. To our U, to our UI, to R. So that's in. It created the expected misplacement over here. So we simply find another one to put in. This is the white and orange. White and orange. Now I'll put that down over here. To our U, to our UI, to R, and that's it. Now in this case it was pretty easy. I didn't have to put a dummy one in, but it was really solved pretty much the same way as this. So nothing complicated with that. Now how do I move these guys in? Well, this is one configuration that we have. But before I get to here, let me go ahead and do a little bit more of a mix-up with this somewhat super easy puzzle. So let's take it from here. Okay, this looks a little bit more messed up. So what you're going to find is that the centers, the edges, and all these inner corners, the outer edge and the inner corners, are going to be lined up. These guys are, the center is going to do its own thing, and these corners are going to do its own thing as well. So this is moved the same way. I can move these centers, the edges, the inner edges in. So how do I coordinate all these pieces, these separate components? Well, these guys are going to move. The outer edge and the inner corners are going to move much the same way that these corners moved. But these corners, not so much. So this is going to move around to match the centers. However, these won't. So what I mean is this. What I want to do is I want to take this yellow outer and inner here and move it to here. So I'm going to do it the same way. In this case, it's going to be the left-sided version of that corner swap. 2L UI, 2L U, 2L U DI, 2L U, 2L UI, and 2L, and move this back. So as you can see, it's not correlating these outer corners with these inner corners. We're always going to be chasing our tails. Even if we move these in with the centers, if I keep moving them around, these are going to be out of sync. So I inevitably come across this situation. Let's say I move this over here. So how do I move these into place? If I do that algorithm again, I'm going to move these as I move these. So it's always going to be a little bit off. The way that I handle that is I just put all the centers in and all the inner and outer edges together. So I'm left with just the outer corners. So what I'm going to do is put this on the bottom, and what I have to do is, because I don't have an algorithm that can move these in sync with these guys in sync with this, is I have to manually take this, put it up here, and then just manually put it in where it's supposed to be. Because when I do the corner switch algorithm, these centers are going to move independently from these guys. So I'm going to take this, move it up here. That's going to be 2R U, 2R UI, 2R. So that moves this up to here. Now what I'm going to do without moving this at all is I'm going to put this in position down here by the white and orange, which is right over here. 2R U, 2R UI, 2R, and lo and behold, this is in. So now I do the same thing. I'm just going to hold this here. I'm going to take this and move this into position where it's supposed to be, right here. 2R U, 2R UI, 2R. That leaves me with one more to put in, the white and blue. Put that in position here and do it once more. 2R U, 2R UI, 2R, and it's done. So really it's just a little bit of a higher level of complexity. There we go. A step up in complexity compared to these, only because we had to move these outer ones like a super cube, and we had to deal with the issue of what to do with these corners and how to move these outer edges, as well as how to solve this. So just a little bit more complex, but the reason that I did it in this order is I was actually building up to something. What I'm building up to is the actual viewer question, which is the solve of this guy. So taking it up a level of complexity, how can we use that strategy to finally solve this puzzle, which is something you can get. This is available. This is the standard, crazy, 5-layer pentagram, a pentahedron puzzle. So you might think, well, solve it the same way as this, and you should, but there's a little bit of complexity, and that has to do with the variations of what's happening with this, the equivocations rather, what's happening with this this outer edge and this outer edge, because you can't tell the difference between those. So how are we going to do this one?